Yes. Yeah.
You know, Psychology Today did a very interesting article about how sunshine affects our daily lives. Did you know? Sunshine makes us nicer. I guess that's not that big a surprise, but you know, warm temperature, sunny day improves our outlook on life. We become nicer. But here's something I didn't know. Sunshine influences the stock market, which is 3 times more likely to go up when it's sunny in the city of the exchange. Did you know that?
Wow.
Investors feel happier on sunny days, so they invest more. We buy more lottery tickets on cloudy days because our outlook is down, not quite happy with our lives. Did you know this? Suicides go up in warmer months. And the reason is surprising. Seeing others frolic outside reinforces depressing feelings if you're not a very happy person. The weather even affects college applications. This one is just amazing to me. Applicants who are strong academically are more likely to be admitted on cloudy days, whereas candidates who are strong socially are more likely to be admitted on sunny ones.
Whoa.
Is that not funny? And by the way, of course, this one is not very surprising. On less sunny days, we compensate by drinking more alcohol, coffee, smoking more cigarettes, and eating chocolate to stimulate ourselves and to elevate our mood.
Well, folks, you will enjoy this story. This is written by Aziz Hanifa of India Abroad. It's a fight between 2 people and their political views. Gopia, which is global organization of people of Indian origin, been around for 20 years, and we're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they said they will have no national anthem of India or America for the reasons of time. And Mr. Makar, who is so passionately Indian, says, how can you have an Indian function and not have a national anthem? And they were fighting, and Dr. Thomas Abrahams, who's been with the organization for 20 years, he said, hey, look, we take your people outside of the United States of America. We are not a cultural organization that we need to put our hand or do, Jana Gana Mana or the other stuff. And Mr. Makar continues, the fight.
So, you know, you might be surprised how I feel about this story.
How do you feel about it?
I actually think that national anthems do belong at those kinds of functions, and I'll tell you why. National anthems, if you think about it, don't belong at sporting events either, but yet we have them, right? It's a way to inaugurate the event, and I think that it serves a purpose. When you are trying to promote, if you are the global organization of people of Indian origin, your purpose in some way is to advance Indian causes, right? Or to, at least to aggregate and provide a place to meet for Indians of Indian origin. Why not then have a national anthem there so that kids, especially the ones that are participating in these kinds of events, become familiar with their own national anthem? Where do you go these days to ever hear your national anthem? It's rarely ever played unless you're watching the Olympic ceremony or you're going to an Indian event. If you take it out, I think you're doing a disservice to the very nature of your function or event. I actually think they're good.
Here's Dr. Thomas Abrams' response to you, which is, look, he had a Guyanese president, and somebody had the great idea that we should have a Guyanese national anthem, Indian national anthem, American national anthem, and he says 14 minutes, gone.
Well, no one said you have to put them back to back. Maybe, spread them out during the whole event.
But what he says, you can't be doing this. Let's all grow up. These things are very good in front of a football game or in front of a cricket game in India, but no. In fact, if I remember it correctly, at the end of every movie in India, you had to stand up in that dark theater and go, Jana Gana Mana.
I'm just getting old, but
I think we've grown up.
I side with Mr. Devendra Makar. I think that it's perfectly appropriate, and maybe it just needs to be done a little shorter, a little faster, maybe not quite all strung together, but the intent is good.
And Dr. Thomas Abrahams will tell you, but I am not answerable to him. To you. I don't have any taxpayers giving the money for what I do. I spend my own time, my own money. Time is important to me, and I am having none of that.
So long, Janaganaman. Ramesh, a week from Monday is going to be a rather big event for television because Jay Leno kicks off his new 10 o'clock show. And of course, it's a big deal because, first of all, it's not the Tonight Show, but it has more or less the same format. And
it's a copy of Darshan in Conversation.
That's right.
Let's face it.
I mean, he just ran out of ideas, I guess.
Yes.
But get this, folks, he is actually up against a very, very tough lineup because that 10 o'clock time is typically reserved for primetime dramas. Shows like Law and Order and CSI New York and those very tough drama shows. Well, he's going to be sort of a different breed of that show, right? Trying to capture the market of the Tonight Show, basically, but earlier in the evening. I thought this article was neat just for all the other shows that have aired in the past in that 10 o'clock time frame and why it's going to be so tough for him. 1975, that 10 o'clock time was by Starsky and Hutch. Later on, it was occupied by Dallas. Down the road, it was Hill Street Blues and Dynasty. Look at these names. St. Elsewhere, Miami Vice, L.A. Law. And then, of course, you had the oddball drama shows of the 80s, including 30-something, Northern Exposure, NYPD Blue, ER, and The Practice. You see, it's going to be really tough for him to break into this 10 o'clock time.
But if he's successful, he can put the entire country to sleep right after his show.
I think that's his intent. I think there's, just like the 10 o'clock news time seems to favor Fox because, you know, they're the earliest in the bunch. I do think, and I actually do wish him luck. I think that, you know, he left too soon out of the Tonight Show, and this gives him a second life. Here's something I would have never guessed, but the Washingtonian did a funny article on what women's makeup says about them. You know, there's so many different makeup manufacturers, and how do you know who wears what, right? And what does it say about you if you do? So here's a nice little analysis. Bobbi Brown, which is a makeup line, is worn by young professionals. But Chanel is worn by the sophisticated amongst us. If you're an athlete, then Clarins is the brand for you. Clinique is apparently for the teenager. You know, Clinique is often the first makeup that a lot of moms will buy for their young teenage daughters because of skin conditions and acne and so forth. So wearing Clinique means you're, you know, in the younger age bracket. Elizabeth Arden is all about the elegant lady. Estee Lauder, not surprisingly, is about baby boomers. La Mer is for the exceptional woman, probably because it requires an exceptional amount of money to buy buy their products. Lancome is for the traveling CEO. I thought that was interesting. You know, it's been around forever, but they've branded themselves, and that's who they go after. But MAC is my favorite. I happen to like MAC. Eco-smart fashionista. That's what my makeup says about me. I'm an eco-smart fashionista. Funny. I mean, I'm not sure it's entirely true, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Now I'm going to ask all the women around me what they wear just so I can assess who they really are.
Well, folks, our conversation up next is with Dr. Vital Shetty. He's a scientist. You heard of a slumdog millionaire? Well, here's a story of a slumdog scientist, and he's up next. You'll enjoy the conversation.
And before we go, folks, this is Labor Day weekend, and it's traditionally the last weekend of the summer, so we want everyone to get out there and enjoy it. And if you are a young bride-to-be, then the place you want to be is the Shagun Bridal Expo. It's happening today and tomorrow at the Sheraton Premier in Tyson's Corner. Of course, there's free admission, but more so than that, you can check out the latest mundups and fashion and jewelry, shows, dance performances, wedding cakes, caterers, photographers, bridal couture, makeup, and henna artists. It's all under one roof, and you can plan your entire wedding from start to finish, so it should be a lot of fun.
Always good for a free samosa or a free chicken tikka. Folks, you have a wonderful weekend. Namaste.
Namaste.